Welcome to Healthy Conversations, sharing the knowledge, experience, stories, and the wisdom of herbalists and other natural healers, with your host, Stephen Horn. Today's guest, Jennifer Pressimone. Hi, and welcome again to Healthy Conversations. I have back with me my guest, Jennifer Pressimone. And Jennifer is a clinical aromatherapist and intuitive and helps people with holistic aromatherapy. She is the CEO and founder and formulator for GenSense and GenSense Aromaversity. And also an author and speaker and vice president of the National Association for Holistic Aromatherapists. So we've had some previous conversations where we've talked about uh, anxiety and depression, and what we want to talk about today is something that I consider it a mood disorder, but you don't see it listed on the medical thing as a mood disorder. But irritability to me is just as much a mood disorder as being depressed or being anxious. You know, it is just not normal for us to be running around uh, irritated over a whole bunch of small things. So why don't we talk about some of the essential oils that you can use to help people who are easily irritated and annoyed?
Yeah, and you're right. It's such an important topic that I think gets overlooked. And, everybody faces some type of irritability or frustration and gets angry about different things. So, what I like to do, looking at it from a holistic perspective, is to go back and maybe figure out what's going on in the body that would maybe contribute to that. Because if you know that and you know, hey, my hormones are off a little bit, or I'm hungry and I've not eaten and my blood sugar is off, or if you know there's liver congestion, then you can be more specific in the essential oils that you choose. So the
Yeah,
approach that I take in aromatherapy is of course there's a base of oils that I always work through because I love to personalize it, but in the bigger picture it's always nice to have a starting point. And I love lemon because lemon is very cooling, and when you smell lemon, usually it puts a smile on your face. It's really hard to be irritable and angry and frustrated when you're smiling. So, one of the first things is to smell an oil that you
absolutely.
like. Yeah. And so, if you smell an oil that you like, and lemon happens to be one that the majority of people like, then it'll calm that down. But it also opens up if there's stuckness going on, if the lymphatic system is stuck. And one thing you want to think about is, are you ruminating in irritability? Are you ruminating in anger? Is it lingering? Because anything that's lingering tells us the lymphatic system is a little congested. So we need to open that up. So lemon is my first oil. The second oil that's in my base of anti irritability is peppermint, because peppermint is very cooling, and again, peppermint just it's invigorating. And when you are angry and irritable, then we sometimes, again, we're stuck, but we're missing something that's giving us an aha moment, or helping us tap into some joy. And peppermint is really good for that. It's
You're making
also
me
a
think of
vitamin.
peppermint flavored lemonade in the summer when it's hot. Which is, by the way,
What a
where
great combination.
yeah. Well, what's interesting is that is the time when people are more likely to be angry and aggressive is in the heat than they are in the winter. They're more likely to be depressed in the winter and more likely to be irritable in the summer. So I was just thinking about how cooling yourself off with some fresh lemonade with a little bit of mint in it is a great summer
Perfect.
refresher, right? So that makes complete sense to me.
And you can mirror that, having those two scents going in your diffuser and then having a nice lemonade or even an herbal tea with some, lemon. And even in the winter time, what happens is, it is more cold, but people get more tense. and that can lead to frustration as well. And so in the winter time, then you can do a warm version instead of a cold lemonade. You can do a warm lemonade, do some hot water with peppermint tea, put some lemon in there. And now you're matching up an herbal side with the aromatic side. And of course you're going to get aromatics from smelling that too. So it's such a dynamic duo when it comes to reducing heat, reducing inflammation. Inflammation and heat, activate and can contribute to that frustration and irritability. And then there's a third oil that I love to put in. So my trio would be the lemon, the peppermint, and then Roman chamomile. Roman
Mm.
chamomile is such a nurturer and a caretaker. And sometimes think about it, when you're frustrated and you're angry and somebody puts their hand on your shoulders or they kind of lightly touch the upper part of your back and say, it's going to be okay. You really feel, oh, it is going to be okay. And that's what Roman chamomile does when you smell it, when you have it in your diffuser, when you put it in a blend. So those three together, you can put them in equal parts. If you just, hey, I don't know where to start, put them in equal parts. If I'm being the advanced formulator and blender that I love to be, then I would do 1 part of lemon, 2 parts peppermint, 2 parts Roman chamomile. And that is really, really nice just to keep the smile on your face, reduce the heat, and calm or quench any anger and irritability that might be welling up.
Yeah. Well, when you talk about chamomile, I think of what Matthew Wood says about chamomile. It's for people who are peevish and irritable and on edge. So that makes perfect sense too.
Yeah, because irritability, we think of looking at the organ association is when the liver is deficient, there's usually more sadness and depression, but when it's irritated and hot, there's going to be more of that anger and irritability, and that also flows over into the glandular system. It flows over into our hormones being out of balance. The adrenals being, exhausted and just are staying on high adrenaline. There's just this angst, that wells up. And so yeah, they're perfect for any liver conditions, especially the emotions attached to the
Yeah.
liver
Well, right.
condition.
That irritability associated with, certain types of PMS is actually because the liver is not breaking down the excess hormones efficiently. So
Right.
there's definitely a liver thing, even in hormonally related irritability or depression. So,
Yeah, and looking at when are you irritable and when are you more angry? Is it right before the menses? Is it during the menses? If for those in menopause that don't have their period, or for men, obviously, who don't have their period, you want to think about cycles. We still have cycles no matter where we are, with everything going on in the body. And so, does it happen a certain time of month? Does it happen a certain time of the year? Is it related to an anniversary of something? Does it happen at a certain time of day? I'm real big at looking at the circadian rhythm and figuring out, when do my ailments seem to be heightened, whether they're a deficient or excess ailment. When are they heightened? And then I go look at the circadian rhythm chart and figure out which organ is screaming at me, because your
uh,
body's talking to you. And so if it's happening, in the afternoon, then, we want to go look at certain things, and, maybe looking at the small intestines. And, a lot of times around 3 o'clock, right before the urinary circadian time zone starts, people are sometimes dehydrated, or they realize, oh, I didn't eat lunch yet, or, I've been running myself. So look for cues so you understand what is causing that, because certainly oils can help to calm and balance that, but we want to get back to the trigger. We want to get back to the root and really help that situation and that stressor.
yeah. Well, you mentioned the circadian rhythm. I've observed a lot of irritable people are often nighthawks. They have a hard time unwinding in the evening, and that's the time when you go enter into that liver meridian again, and another sign that your liver may be congested as well. And then uh, you mentioned about blood sugar. I've also seen people get very irritable when they haven't eaten and their blood sugar is low. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, our body needs something. It needs food, and it's a little angry because you're running a marathon. Think about it, all day long. You're thinking, you're moving, you've got a long list of things to do. And if you don't feed and nourish your body, mentally, physically, emotionally, you're not giving it the tools that it needs, and you're making it run this marathon on empty, it's going to start screaming at some point. So yeah, we certainly want, to make those connections, because maybe that's your motivator to, I know I get hangry, so I want to do something. I want to eat something before I get to that point. Same
Now,
thing in aromatherapy.
you mentioned these three as kind of like a core. What would be some oils you would add for different additional purposes to your blend?
Yeah, so if it's blood sugar related, if it's related to being hangry, I like to add in cinnamon. Cinnamon is one of my number one oils for blood sugar balance, along with sweet orange and thyme. I like that combination. Also, ginger is another one that's really good if it's blood sugar related. Bringing in your spice oils. Think of it, as your scent categories. You've got a fruit category, flower category, herbs, spices, trees are the common top five. So we want to bring in spices if it's blood sugar related. If it's
Mm-hmm.
hormone related, then I like to bring in other flowers like a lavender, a geranium, even bringing in some ylang ylang. It's a beautiful, tree, but we like to use, the leaves and the flowers as an essential oil that really help to quench that, especially when there is maybe some hormone. But you think of the fluid system, neurotransmitters, even the metabolism. Though the flowers are going to be real good at balancers. Uh, Whenever you feel overwhelmed and you feel like, oh my gosh, I have a million things on my task list and I only have like an hour to get so many things done, and you start panicking and you start feeling defeated and overwhelmed, then I like to bring in the tree oils for more grounding. So I'll bring in some cedar wood is really good. I will bring in a frankincense, even elemi. Those are really good. Even eucalyptus, anything with a little bit of the camphors. And a lot of our trees, the firs, they have some camphor element to that. So that's going to be really helpful. So think about where are you, because fruits are going to elevate your energy, flowers are going to balance you, herbs are going to be nourishing. They're nourishing, especially for the gastrointestinal, whenever there's a lot of malabsorption going on. Your spices are kind of going to, balance that blood sugar, but then also help you tap into, your inner fire to find that determination and the drive and the motivation that you need in a day. And then your trees are going to be very grounding.
I hadn't thought too much about the relationship energetically of the plant part, but I can see that makes a lot of sense. Yes, very much. Any other suggestions with for essential oils with irritability anger, or does
Yeah, I
that pretty
mean,
much cover it?
yeah, I think we talked a lot about it. So I start with a core of those. And then, number one, you want to see which one of those do you like. If you like all of them, you can blend them together. And then the second part to that is why, what's the root culprit that's causing the disharmony, and then bringing in and personalizing, customizing your particular blend a little bit more specific. And if that's too overwhelming, pick one oil. Just pick one. Whatever one that you like is going to be the one that's going to help you the most.
Great. Well, Jen, thank you for sharing your wisdom with us today. I hope that if people want to reach out to Jen and take her courses or learn more about what she has to offer, check the links in the description below. And thanks again, Jennifer, for joining me on the Healthy Conversations.
Thank you, Stephen.
Hit the like button and subscribe to our channel to catch future episodes of Healthy Conversations. Help us educate others by sharing this video, and please feel free to share your own thoughts, comments, and questions below. To learn more, check out the links below.